Hi, Greg.
Hey, how are you?
I'm fine. That was an interesting conversation with Robert because I have a relative who is going through the same thing with a couple of kids and a divorced father. So that I found that a very interesting conversation.
And so, like here, we're talking about it like that kind of situation, but it could be just, a really simple and actually kind of pleasant version of this is you work till the age of retirement, and then you retire, and then what do you do after that? Like I always used to crack up because I would have all these clients that would be working super hard. They'd retire and they'd be going, "Oh, I can't wait. I'm gonna go to the beach. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna sleep in." And then they would retire and then fill their schedule up every week, and they would be busier than when they were working with all these other kind of things that they wanted to do and didn't enjoy retirement. And so it takes them a few years, and then eventually they start to unwind and do some of the things that they thought about. But it's breaking that pattern of, hey, I worked all these years working this way. Now that I'm done, can I disengage that pattern and step into a new pattern?
Mhm.
Right. So even, like we were saying, it's the use of aloes. And even when you look at in certain traditions, and in the Jewish tradition, like when they took Christ off the cross, they are putting, they wash the body and they were putting him in the robes, the things the garment. And but they covered him in aloes and myrrh. And if you look at what aloes does, even for like a great teacher, a great avatar, still has to break the pattern of the body
Mhm.
to become pure essence. Like that is actually what that's doing. You are disentangling, disengaging, and breaking the pattern associated with the form as you go into the essence. And so the body itself is physical, so it has a big impact on the essence. And here we're talking about situations where it was difficult or there was some abuse or something. But even at times from your life, you get out of high school, you go to college, and get out of college, and then you go to work into the workforce. Those are shifts and transitions where you have to let go of the old pattern and engage this new pattern. And there's kind of segments in a person's life where that happens, and there's segments that everybody goes through because of um just being a baby up to the time of passing, where you hit some of these segments. And the more that we face them with, doesn't even have to be awareness, but just the awareness that there's something like that, where you just go, something's going on, I'm not quite sure, uh I need to break out of this. So, like, again, talking about it from the point of view of like the Christian tradition, the Buddhist tradition. Christians talk about being born again in Christ. Buddhists will say, I will die many times, before I'm liberated, like many, many times. And so at one point you'll say, oh, that's about reincarnation. But a lot of times they're talking about it in a single lifetime. You're doing something and you let it go and you embrace something new. And if you look at it from a Kabbalistic point of view, you could say the crown chakra, which is the enter point of divine energy. It's where soul energy comes in. It's how you experience oneness. It's tied to new beginnings. It's tied to this aspect of new beginnings. And just doing the same thing over and over again over a long period of time just takes you a little bit farther away from the soul every time. Now, there's things that you need to do to maintain the body, to maintain your life, to maintain your finances, to do all these kinds of things. But, just like in the week, you work 5 6 days, and then Sunday or Saturday, if you're Jewish, is like the Sabbath day or the holy day. And it doesn't mean that you have to embrace this the whole week, but once a week, just for a little bit, like touch it, just touch it. That's why it doesn't have to be this big overwhelming practice, but just don't lose sight of it. Just touch this essence, just, every week. And so it can be very practical. Like if you look at it in a manifestation in the workplace, say you're in IT, if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, in 3 or 4 years, you're going to be out of a job. Like you can't do it. You have to keep touching this new thing, this new beginning, this regeneration of something, this reboot with the software, the hardware, whatever it is. And if you don't, you don't keep growing in the industry, and then at some point you end up not being relevant anymore. And so it is just the flow of nature. But who doesn't like to be comfortable, and who doesn't like to be, where we don't have to make a lot of effort that way? But again, it doesn't have to be a constant, but just from time to time, you have to be able to touch it and just go, I'm just gonna let some of this go and bring something new in. And it's an interesting thing. Some people are more wired for it than others, but it's just part of the creative process. It's the part of life. It's part of our spiritual development, you could say.
Well, it's interesting. Since I've been retired, it's been a big, big change with me.
Oh, I
Because
bet.
I've discovered spirituality, and I've gone from Tai Chi to Qigong to
Oh, nice.
Pranic healing, and now studying with you, and it's completely changed my life.
Oh, good.
Well,